What's up, Knicks fans? We are back again for another season with our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. And of course, that means we're talking about FANCASH. Now, most sportsbooks, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. You see, when you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. And did I mention that they're giving away millions in FANCASH this year, and you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out for yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Knicks Film School pregame show. My name is Andrew Claudio, and it is time to preview another Knicks matchup, this time on Sunday night, as the Knicks take their talents to South Beach and take on the Miami Heat. It's the first time that the Knicks are playing the Miami Heat since the end of March last year, a season in which the Knicks swept the Miami Heat for the first time since the mid-90s in a season series. A different look from the Miami Heat, for sure. One that doesn't have the same championship aspirations, I think, but the Knicks certainly do. And talk about a perfect start to the season. A year last year in which the Knicks, part of their reputation was that when you play the Cavaliers or the Celtics or the elite teams in the East, you're not going to beat them. Well, I don't think the Celtics are an elite team, and we'll see what comes of the Cavaliers throughout the year. I do think they are, and they're already 2-0 against the Knicks and against the Celtics and the Cavaliers to start the season. So obviously, I'm feeling all the vibes that you are, Knicks fans. But the Miami Heat, as the Knicks go into this matchup, are 1-1 on the season. A competitive first game loss in Orlando on opening night. Had an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then the Orlando Magic outscored the Heat 24-12 over the final 6.5 minutes. A good performance from Norm Powell in that game. I've talked about how much I love Davion Mitchell and how intriguing it is to see him in a Eric Spoelstra system. And if you thought that was a good performance by the Heat, you should watch the first half of their game on Friday night against the Memphis Grizzlies. An 82, I think it was 86-47 at halftime, 82-43. They're up by 39 at halftime, hit 10 threes in the first half, blew the doors off the Memphis Grizzlies. And that's probably not even the biggest Miami Heat story is Terry Rozier. Something happened to him, and I'm going to talk to somebody about it in just a second, who I know was somewhat thrilled that Scary Terry was potentially never going to play for the Miami Heat again. Knicks fans, Knicks Film School fans in particular, you know who we're about to welcome to the show. Joining me to preview this game against the Miami Heat from the Miami Heat beat, a cute matchup between the Knicks and the Heat for sure. If you know, you know. Giancarlo Navas, my brother, welcome back. And I will just say, congratulations. That I don't even know if I should congratulate you on somebody on the Heat getting arrested, because I understand it is a serious thing, but I also know how Miami Heat fans, in particular Miami Heat content creators, have talked about Terry Rozier over the past 365 days. Yeah, more than that. I mean, since the transaction happened, exactly. So congratulations. Welcome back to Knicks Film School. How are you, my friend?
As a Heat fan, I'm thrilled. As a prison abolitionist, I'm disgusted.
And
so I am caught between being a sports fan and being a human being, as is many of our conflicts watching sports. But we did a good podcast on it. I thought we were measured. I've made my jokes. Listen, there's a picture of me going into the FBI building in Washington, D.C. in April, because I felt like I had to put a stop to what I felt was an illegal operation happening right before my eyes every night on FanDuel TV. Ironically enough, on FanDuel TV.
Yeah.
We don't even have to get into that. And the arrest happens. By the way, 6 a.m. is an insane time to arrest somebody.
It is. It gives them no chance or no way to even work a way around it. Yeah, listen, for sure.
I think I'm pretty public about how I feel about the police and kind of our current administration. And I know that this DOJ investigation goes back into Biden. And regardless, I think that like the FBI is just an apparatus of the state. Not to get too political here, but you know, I have my reservations on the way he's probably guilty. Like, I don't think he's not, but I just think the entire optics of the situation made it a little uncomfortable, but I will get these jokes off. I will get these jokes. I mean, I tweeted, I was like, man, it's like, damn, like it's like we got Bin Laden. That's how it feels.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh.
Like that's how it felt at Heat fans. I remember the baseball game. Everybody. That's what
it was a Mets game too. It was a Mets game.
Heat Twitter felt like. That's what Heat Twitter felt like. It was insane. But I will get these jokes off. But again, I do have my reservations about the whole thing and the optics of the administration doing that. So we'll see.
I say all of this at the top, Giancarlo, as we now pivot to basketball, because I don't know how to talk about the Miami Heat. They've been the boogeyman for so many years and for so long in my life. And now they're 1-1. I watched the first half of the game against the Grizzlies last night. And my God, what a first half. Like unreal shot making. Bam Adebayo is shooting threes inefficiently now. Simone Fontecchio is now on the Heat and is you're doing the Tommy DeVito, but now apparently that's the Simone Fontecchio thing. Look, just give me the expectations for this season, because I know you talk. We've talked off it. We've talked off air,
or the fan base. Because
honestly, give me both, because we've talked off air about fun regular seasons that the Heat have or haven't had recently. And does this season have expectations for Heat fans? And if not, does that make it more fun that we're not looking for a banner this year?
They're not good, and I think the biggest thing most Heat fans want to see is development from their young guys. We want to see something from Jaquez. Jaime Jaquez had a really great rookie season, a really, really bad sophomore season. Now we're looking into year 3. What can he give? In the preseason, we've seen some changes to his game, and it's translated very, very nicely to Miami's increased pace, which I'm sure we're going to get into. We want to see Campbell Larson get on the floor. I think he's an intriguing young player that they drafted last year. I think he has a lot of qualities that can make him, I'm not saying he'll be Josh Hart, but like kind of in that mold of like really awesome role player who plays really hard, can hit some shots, is going to hustle, kind of that kind of guy. You have Khalil Ware, who has had a monster preseason. They're trying to play this 2 big lineup with him. So he's another young guy. And of course, Nikola Jovic, who they just gave an extension to, who started game 1, didn't start game 2. Eric Spoelstra said that they wanted to go with the 2 big lineup, but they weren't really sure about how Khalil was going to be able to play with kind of the little injury that he had picked up in practice, but he wants to stick with the 2 big lineup. But those are the kind of the guys that we want to see something from. We want to see, can they fix this offense that has been in mud? I mean, since after the first year that Jimmy got here, they had one good offense, which was the first Kyle Lowry year. Every other year was utter garbage offensively. I mean, they've been unwatchable. And I think saying unwatchable, I mean, they've been like the Magic, that bad. And the Magic are the ones that get made fun of for being just a brooding team. But Miami has been pretty much the Orlando Magic on offense the entire Jimmy era, right? And some of that comes on Spo, some of that comes on Jimmy and Tyler and Bam. But at the end of the day, they had to change something, and they've changed a lot. So I think for the fan base, we just want a watchable team, and we want to see these young guys take a step. I think the organization wants to make the playoffs. Like, I think they want to get either just make the playoffs like outright or qualify through the play-in. I'm sure they'd like to not qualify through the play-in. If you ask Eric Spoelstra and the organization, they're under no delusion, but they want to compete. That's just how they are. That's like in the blood of the team. I would like them. They have their lottery pick this year. They did a lot so that they can have their pick this year. And I would have liked them to take a lean year. I don't mind that Hero's out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I don't mind if Bam takes some time off. I don't mind that, because I'd rather them play young guys and get a pick, but that's just not who they are. And so they're playing to make a playoffs. The fans have kind of compromised and been like, just play the young guys, make sure that those guys get minutes, and make sure that you figure out what's been wrong with this offense and make it watchable.
So there's 2 places I want to go off of everything you just said. The organizational drive to make the playoffs. I got to go back to the end of last season, because it's the first time I've talked to you since the Heat from the 10th seed made the playoffs, had the biggest margin of defeat in the first round in a playoff series by how many points they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not going to pretend I didn't enjoy every second of that, by the way. And then I listened to the Miami Heat upbeat post-game shows the contention that was it even worth it making the playoffs when you could have ended up with the 11th pick in the draft or the 11th best lottery standings.
Do you know what that pick would have become?
Oh, I'm getting there. Don't worry. I'm getting there. They ended up with the 11th, would have had the 11th best odds if they just lost in the play-in. And instead, the Dallas Mavericks ended up with the 11th best odds. And the Mavericks won the lottery and got Cooper Flagg. So I guess just talk me through the emotions and the process of like they made the playoffs, got creamed, and then a month later, the pick they would have had, despite the organization being like, we're a team that drives and competes and makes the playoffs, and it would have actually benefited them bowing out in the play-in and potentially getting the number one pick.
Yeah, crash out central for Heat fans. I think at that in particular. Now, I don't subscribe to that because, I don't care about the flag thing, right? Like okay. I personally don't. But a lot of Heat fans did. They're like, look, you just got to give yourself a chance, and they're right. You got to give yourself a chance. I am never pro tank. I'm not. I just don't like rooting for losses.
Neither am I for the record.
I do think that it's a viable team building strategy, and I think there are certain times that you should deploy that. I thought that they should have I wanted them to, so last year, people wanted the Heat to tank. I did it because I thought it was better to have the pick this year. Last year, people felt that the draft was better. It was a much deeper draft. So there was kind of some discrepancy. I was looking at the long term of unlocking picks and stuff and owing and things rolling over. Which I think the organization also really cared about. I think that they wanted to make the playoffs for that reason, not because they wanted to unlock the pick so that they can use it, just so that they have some flexibility. So that there was kind of like that going on of like, one side wants flexibility, the other side just wants a pick right now because the draft is really good and stuff like that. But I mean, listen, the fans were not happy. I mean, you cannot be a fan of a team and be happy watching what you watch against Cleveland. I mean, they were in it for one game. I think it was game 2. Davion played awesome. And that was the only game that you were only kind of in. Their defense was shredded, and that's supposed to be the good part. And their offense was as bad as it always is. The organization, I mean, Pat's like, I don't know. I think if we play that again, I think it's a lot closer, which was a really frustrating thing for Heat fans to hear. It's like, what are you talking about? Do we watch the same thing? So I do think that there's a bit of a disconnect with that and the fan base right now. And I think the fan base is different. I think you have to understand that fans are younger, and like these kids don't remember Pat Riley, the coach. They just think of Pat Riley, the old guy, right? And the way that the Heat do things might not jive with these younger fans who see the Oklahoma City and all these other clubs that are building through the draft in different ways. And I think the CBA is really different this time. There's a really complicated CBA that makes it very hard to spend a lot of money, and it kind of puts a premium on cost-controlled players like Oklahoma City, who they're going to have a problem one day with the CBA. They're not going to be able to keep their guys. The Thunder were victims of the CBA before. They couldn't keep the 3 guys, Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. Like, we've seen this movie before. So, Indiana's another team, had to they took it, I thought very smartly, they kind of broke up their team. They're like, well, next year's a wash. Miles Turner's expensive. We need to kind of rebuild this because the CBA, we're not a big market team that could spend that kind of money. So they kind of are retooling right now. You see it all over the league, unless you're the Clippers and Steve Ballmer or something. And even then, these second apron rules are designed to not even let you do that. So like there's so much going on with the fans and what they believe that they want the draft. The organization just wants to win. It's a bit of a shit show. I think there's certainly a divide.
Well, you segued me perfectly into the other thing I wanted to talk about, and it's the rat, Pat Riley, as we call him in New York. Because look, the generational divide between some of the younger Heat fans, and maybe not even some of the younger Heat fans, maybe some of the Heat fans our age that have seen what this team has become now, and he'll always have in his back pocket, like, I got you, LeBron. Like, the decision happened. Jimmy Butler did decide to come here because of the infrastructure and because of Heat culture. And when you could potentially pivot, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because, again, I'm anti-tank, but watching what the Sixers did last year and just fully pivoting to like Quentin Grimes go have a 60 usage, we're going to try and be as bad as possible. And it ending up with VJ Edgecombe. And now, even with the end of Embiid happening right before our eyes, you have a fun backcourt of Maxey, Edgecombe, and McCain just able to give Sixers fans some hope for the future. And I like Davion Mitchell. I think Jovic is an interesting prospect. I like the kid that they took out of Illinois last year, the Miami Heat. And like they have some young, intriguing players, but there's no blue chip prospects to look to the future for. No. And I don't think that's even something Pat Riley's that interested in. He's going whale hunting. Like the Giannis thing is his last real chance at a whale in my eyes. So from my perspective, it seems like they're at the end of an era. Do Heat fans think like we're kind of at the end of Riley, and potentially are they hoping it's close to the end so that way they can pivot to a new philosophy?
So Pat Riley's 80 years old.
Right.
He'll turn 81 next March. At some point, he's going to retire. I don't know when. I don't know if that's in 5 years. I don't know if that's in a few years. I don't know if that's when he's 90. I don't know. That guy's a sicko. Everybody knows it. He's addicted to work. And I don't know if he can step away. But at some point, he will. And that's where the end is, right? Will he see the end of next Hero contract? Will he give Hero a next contract that he may not see through? Will he be here for the rest of Bam's career? You know, we don't know that. And I know that you're talking about era in a cultural sense, right? Like the era of like, I don't think that ends because that starts with ownership. That starts with Mickey Arison. I think that until Mickey sells the team, that's not going to change because Eric Spoelstra is a Pat Riley disciple. Eric Spoelstra's not there. That guy was groomed by Riley. I hate that word.
It was Jedi Apprentice. Like,
exactly. He was the Jedi Apprentice of Darth Pathius. And he shout out to Andor. That show's good.
Very good. Yes.
The GOAT. I love Luthen. I wish Pat Riley was half as cool as Luthen right now. We're talking about old white guys having Luthen mogs. But, you know, culturally, the everything's going to stay. I mean, Eric Spoelstra is a Pat Riley disciple. Mickey Arison believes in a family business, and it is top to bottom. All those guys have been there for life, right? Like Pat Riley's been there since he got there, has not left. Tim Donovan, the PR guy, came with Pat from New York. Mickey, obviously the owner, Nick Arison, Mickey's son, has been involved with the organization since he was young. Eric Spoelstra came from video guy up to the top. I mean, even the broadcaster, Eric Reed, has been there forever. The Spanish broadcaster, Jose Pineda, has been a year one employee. Like, they're big on that. They're big on, like, you are here, like, you know, the Miami Mafia type thing. You're here for life. And that starts at the top. And I think until Mickey, if the Arison family ever sells that team, that's a different conversation. But the culture is not Pat Riley. Pat Riley helped create the culture. But I think, like all great things, that outlives you, you know? And I think that's like kind of the special thing about them. And I don't think we have a lot of that in the NBA. I really don't. I don't even think the Lakers have that. I think maybe Boston a little bit. But like, I can only think of it like in soccer. Like, I think like football clubs have like an identity of like, this is how, like Atletico Madrid, right? Like, this is how we play. Or like Italian football, this is how we play. Or something like Liverpool that I'm a fan of. You know, like there's like these cultural touchstones to like your team and your club that I don't think really exist like in the way that they do, that it's just like this identity that outlives a single person. And I think that that's kind of what Riley is. So the physical era may be ending, but until like those people in the building are gone, it won't end. Like it might adjust and deviate, but like they're always going to prioritize the things that Pat does. Best conditioned, meanest, nastiest, blah, blah, blah team in the NBA. The stuff everybody makes fun of us for. They believe it. They all believe it.
I've never made fun of you guys for that or made a t-shirt out of it whatsoever. No, I would never. Listen, I'd never do such a thing.
And if other fans didn't do it, I would be disappointed because like we would have done it. So we throw rocks, we expect them back.
Exactly. Gee, what does a disappointing season for the Heat looks like?
They make the playoffs. I'm kidding.
Again,
I think at this point in the season is they play a lot of Drew Smith and not the young guys. I think that they squeeze the young guys out of the rotation in favor to get a couple more wins, and that the offense kind of regresses and they don't keep these principles that they've been using in the preseason. And now, I mean, you open the show with how much they've scored. The emphasis has been the pace. And we have hammered this on our show a lot. Like, you don't have guys who can dribble. Like, you don't have creative players. Tyler Hero is your only guy who can really create off pick and roll, like, consistently. He's your only guy. And they bring in Norm Powell, who's a real downhill threat. Tyler's not a guy who's going to pressure the rim. Norman Powell is a lot better at that, right? But even then, that's like the only guy that you have that is a real downhill threat, Davion Mitchell sometimes. And what Miami did was they're running far fewer pick and rolls. That high pick and roll that they were running last year, no more Jimmy, no more Tyler right now. They're running motion offense. They're kind of having guys come off of stagger screens. They're doing a lot of double drag. They're moving guys from left to right on the floor, and they're using off-ball screens and movement and guys dribbling into the paint and kicking out to get shots. Jaquez, that's one of the things that he's really focused on this season. He's not trying to be a spot-up shooter in the corner. When he's getting the ball, he's putting his head down and going to the rim. He was a bit of a pump fake merchant, which is why like every team was like, stay down on his fakes, and he looked like neutered. And now he's passing out of that, right? He's kind of going, he sees when the help comes, and he's giving it to the guy on the short roll. He's giving it to the guy on the weak side corner, right? He's looking where the help is going. And then that's kind of allowing his finishing to improve a bit. You know, Norman Powell, coming off the double drag stagger screen, going immediately downhill. They're running Duncan Robinson actions for him, but he's way quicker, right? Line drive to the rim than Duncan Robinson is. He had a pass yesterday. He was in the corner. He did a skip pass from the strong side to the weak side corner, got Fontecchio an open three. I think it was Fontecchio. That's like insane stuff, right? And like, they're focusing on pace and ball movement. They're trying to run the ball up the floor. They're trying to get up quickly. And they're trying to, like, bro, they would run their first offensive action with 14 on the clock or 12 on the shot clock. Unacceptable. Because
we know this world in New York, by the way. That was the Knicks offense.
Dude,
they run their first offense at 14, their first action at 14. But
we don't have Jalen Brunson. We don't have Karl-Anthony Towns. You know what I mean? We don't even have a Julius Randle. You know, we don't. There's no. Bam's not that on offense. Bam's a much better defensive player, obviously, and he has offensive skill, but he's not a creative kind of player offensively in the way that Julius is. So if you run an action, and as your fans know, with 12 or 14 on the clock, and let's say we're playing the Knicks. Knicks have a lot of defensive versatility, especially on the wing. Let's say you run a Norman Powell off of Bam screen. Bam's playing the 4, right? Anunoby and Bridges are in the action. Well, that's a switch, right? That's an easy switch for them. There's nobody in drop. And now all of a sudden, okay, you switch, and now Powell has to reset. Okay, I'm going to bring a small guy. I'm going to bring Drew Smith or Davion's man to screen. Bro, now you're at 6 on the clock. And now you're rushing, and the Knicks know that, and they're a smart team, and now you're sending help, and now you're making a pass, and then that guy, if somebody gets an open 3, it's under duress, it's quick, you don't have a lot of time on the clock left. That's the stuff that makes bad offense. Now they're running quick. They get multiple actions. They're passing the ball, and they're wearing defenses out with their ball movement, which I think is like, when you don't have great individual players, you need to do that. You need to leverage your movement and the little shooting that you have in order to get guys shots. I don't think they're going to be an elite offense, but certainly the pace and the process in the preseason showed me, okay, there's a commitment to something new, because what was happening before wasn't working. Spamming dribble handoffs, high pick and roll, waiting for a guy in the weak side corner to get open. That was not working, right? Putting Bam in the middle of the floor and asking him to win one-on-one was not working. Bam is not getting those touches anymore. Watch their games. Watch against the Knicks. He's not getting those touches in the mid post and try to like work somebody one-on-one that he takes a pull-up jumper or he's trying to get to the basket. He had 4 assists in 3 quarters yesterday. That's what he has to be. Roll man, assist man, can shoot the threes he got, all spot up threes off of movement, off of action, screen pop off a screen. You know what I mean? Like screen the screener stuff. Like they are running real stuff, and we'll see how long that lasts. But that is what a successful season looks like. They commit to those things. They commit to playing the young guys, because I swear to God, if Drew Smith is closing minutes over one of the young guys, I'm crashing out. Like Andrew Wiggins, I don't even like that he's in the rotation. I don't want him playing over some of the young guys, but I get it. But they need to make an effort to commit to this offense and to play their young guys, let them grow. I want to see Nikola Jovic close games. I want to see Kasparis, their number one draft, their first round pick. He needs to get minutes. I don't want him rotting in Sioux Falls in the G League all season. Like, I need Jaime Jaquez to get minutes for this team. Let's see what he has. Rozier's not here anymore. There's no excuse to take minutes. That's what a successful season is to me, and I think to most of the fans.
That's really well said.
Unsuccessful would be, I know you have unsuccessful. Unsuccessful would be not doing those things and reverting back to what's easy.
Well, first of all, I love when you snap at certain moments and just get very heavy into the X's and O's, because it's a reminder that, as entertaining as it is when you come on here, it's a reminder to our audience that you know ball. So that was well said, first of all. I'll just start there. The three teams, really two teams, because I just haven't watched a lot of Wizards so far this year, but I've seen what the pace looks like. And well, just like in trying to prep for to be as informed as possible, and obviously for this show and for other shows that I'm on. What's up?
That's a real host right there.
I'm trying to like actually know what to expect and not be completely blind when I welcome someone from another market. The two teams really that have stood out when it comes to the pace, one is the Heat, of course, and but eventually I'll have a Toronto Raptors conversation. Because I agree with you. Like, there is a noticeable effort and commitment to getting the ball up the court, have as many actions as possible with as many seconds on the clock as possible when you get over to the half court. I guess my only other question before we start talking about this game and the Knicks is just like, from a Bam Adebayo perspective, do you think like the other thing that like stood out is like the guys taking threes? I know he made a bunch of them on Friday night, but he's very much the offensive hub on this team at the moment. And like, where do you stand now with Bam Adebayo and what his ceiling is on the Heat? Like, there's no Jimmy, there's not even a Tyler Hero. Like, what does that mean for him this season? Like, your expectations for him? I disagree
with that. I don't. What do you mean? Think of him as the hub. I think Tyler Hero, when he gets back, is going to be the end.
Right, but right now,
Norm Powell.
You think Powell's the hub?
I think Powell is more of an engine right now than Bam. And I think that's good, by the way. And I think that oftentimes, like, people want Bam to be somebody that he isn't. I don't think he's a 25-point scorer, right? I think I've said he's best when he's like kind of being a connector at the elbows and a roll man, and now a shooter. Which, by the way, last year he shot about 3 threes a game and shot them at a 36% clip. To me, that was a huge success. Right? 3 threes a game at 36%, when that's your first year at volume shooting, I think is a huge, like, okay, this is kind of real. Like, this is not, so I want to see a little more improvement. Like, right now, through 2 games, he's at almost 7 threes a game, 6.5. Obviously, that's not going to hold. Can he get to 4? Can he get to 3.5? Can he shoot 38%, from 3 for the year? I want incremental improvements from him, but, in terms of kind of him as an offensive hub, and what I want from him, I want him to be a roller. I want him to be a passer. And I think some of that was taken away from him a little bit. His, he had a career high in assists back in 2020 through 21. He was at 5.4 assists. He has not touched that number since. The highest was 2 years ago. He was at 4.3. And that was probably like one of his best all around years. Has only exceeded 20 points per game once in 22-23. He's not a scorer, right?
Right.
I'd like him to be 20 and 10, probably 18-10 and defensive player of the year level defense, and a really good passer, right? Like, he's a really, really exceptional passer. And I think that, like, that, especially in the short roll, he's a really creative player. So that's like kind of what I want from him.
Again, the 3-point ball is what I'm more alluding to. Maybe the hub isn't the right way to put it. He's not a Hartenstein. He's not.
Yeah.
When you run your offense through, his now ability to take advantage of teams on the perimeter adds an element to them. And maybe because they're doing double bigs, that's going to be something that becomes more important for him to shoot the ball. So that's more what I'm talking about. Like there actually might be a reinvented version of Bam Adebayo on the offensive side of the ball that I just never had to consider. Like 2 threes a game last year was a leap. As you said, like 6 or 7 is a significantly different leap in the NBA.
So I'll tell you this. I will say this. Like one of the benefits of him shooting from out there is that he's on the perimeter. And I think people say, I want my big in the paint. And I think a lot of times you do. I think with him, I think his finishing has been a little bit He's not the biggest guy. He's 6'9". He does have a huge wingspan. And I think defensively, he's a 5. I think there's a lot of debate on Twitter, on Twitter. It's like, oh, he's a 4. They're making him play the 5. He's a 5. The issue is he's a different kind of 5. And I think because he's extended his shooting range a bit, passing from out there is way better than him passing in there, because they don't have, like, when you're a team that he doesn't command a double, right? So when he's running offense in the mid post, the second guy's not really coming. It's like kind of soft doubles, and those passes are not super available. And he can't really threaten by like, I'm going to light you up for 35 today, right? Like Embiid could, right? Where Embiid's problem is he gets doubled and can't pass out of a double. Bam's not forcing the hard doubles, which is what they did. So that kind of is why you saw those numbers go down. His usage probably went up, I would say, the last few years, but the assists went down because he's missing more shots. He's turning the ball over more. He's forcing things because there's not kind of passing there. When you're shooting the 3, those closeouts come. That guy's coming from somewhere. That's an easy pass to see. He can scan the court really well. He can make those passes. He can pass from the mid post, and they'll certainly run things for him there. And they'll run split action and all this stuff. But when he's out there off the pick and pop, that gives another option. They like screening with their 2 bigs a lot now. So like Ware and Bam will screen on the same play. Sometimes like Powell, right? So they'll run a double drag. Double drag is like when it's kind of like a stagger screen and a guy runs off of it. They'll run double drag for Powell, which is what they used to do for Duncan. And then one guy rolls, one guy pops. Khalil can also shoot the ball a little bit. And you as a defense is like, which guy's rolling, which guy's popping. And they do a good job of mixing it up. And if Bam pops and the defense knows, like Anunoby would be a really smart player that might be able to sniff that out. Okay, well, now you have a slip pass, that Bam could make, right? And then you have Powell cutting or whatever the case is. So that's kind of, the shooting unlocks that a little more, I think, because like when they were their most successful with him as a playmaker, it was off of handoffs and off of movement shooting with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and those kinds of players that they don't have right now. Fontecchio, I don't think is the mover that Duncan is and stuff, but they've found something in Powell. They'll still do it with Tyler. And now he's extended his range a little bit that he could still do that. He could still do that playmaking as a handoff guy, but they're running more complex off ball stuff that I think is going to unlock a little bit more of his creativity that we'll see.
We'll see in this matchup, not this game, by the way, not this match, on match. Sunday night. I think this happened before we started recording. You said this match between the Knicks.
I think that was on air.
If it wasn't, then I'm letting people know that he's very soccer pilled at the moment, or football pilled, according to a lot of people outside of the U.S.
I'll do the next segment in a Scouser accent for my Liverpool focus.
Knicks Heat Sunday night at MSG South Beach, also known as the Kaseya Center. A lot of Knicks fans will most likely be in attendance for this game. Let's talk about the Knicks. Your thoughts about the Knicks? Any questions you have about the Knicks this season?
Brother,
where are you?
You guys better make the finals. That's all I'm saying.
Why?
What's the rabbit meme of the little clock and the pointing? This is it, buddy. Everybody stinks in this conference. You're one of 2 real teams in this conference, buddy. It's time. The slander, you are, in my opinion, you and Cleveland are the 2 best teams, and it's not close. Milwaukee, get the fuck out of here. Orlando, get the fuck out of here. Atlanta, get the fuck out of here. Detroit, get the fuck out of here. It's time, baby. You guys, listen. Boston, get the fuck out of here. Listen.
They literally did. Yeah.
They literally did. And you guys are a really good team. And I think, I love Mike Brown for you guys. I am a bit of a Tibbs hater. I think that Tibbs is Tibbs is capped. And I think
Tibbs is cat.
capped. Like there's
capped.
a ceiling.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Like there's a ceiling.
A lot of people share this opinion, by the way, that the ceiling.
I think he's a little bit like Doc Rivers, not in the style of coaching, but in like Doc won a championship with a loaded team. But like for the most part, there's a kind of a limit.
Tom Thibodeau on his coaching staff.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, who knows? There's a limit, right? There's kind of a limit to like what you can expect from a Tibbs team. And I do think the floor is really high with the Tibbs team. I think that like those guys are going to play hard, right? Those guys are going to be really sound defensively. Even guys who are not the best defenders, Jalen Brunson, Derrick Rose, right? Compete in his system. They survive, right? Mike Brown, one of, I think, the most improved coaches in my lifetime. I think when he was in Cleveland, I didn't think he was, and I was younger. I was in high school when LeBron was the first time in Cleveland. I didn't think he was like anything that special. He had LeBron and they ran, pretty, kind of even looking back, like nothing too fancy. And it was a different time in the league as well. He goes to the Lakers and he's running high pick and roll for Derek Fisher. Right. And I remember even thinking at the time when the Lakers hired him, I'm like, this is just a bad fit. Like they're going from the triangle to Mike Brown. And I know that Mike Brown runs a pretty simple offense, but like, I don't think that they have, not to joke about Mo Williams, but like, Derek Fisher's not even a Mo Williams off the dribble, and certainly there's no LeBron James. Kobe is not that kind of high pick and roll, a slasher at that time in his career. Right. And, he's taken his lumps, and his work in Sacramento, obviously had a really gifted offensive team, but you could see the improvements that he made from Cleveland to LA, all his stops to where he got in Sacramento, where he's running really creative stuff. They're running the paces up. That was not a thing in the Lakers or Cleveland. And again, I think coaches deserve credit when they cater their system to their to their team, right? To their players, which he didn't do in LA. Right. He just brought what he knew because he was a much younger coach. So I have a ton of respect for that guy. I think he's one of the most improved coaches in my lifetime. And I think if he can bring what he did in Sacramento to the Knicks, and I think defensively, like, he was a defensive minded coach in Cleveland too, I think, and a little bit in LA. But I think like Anunoby and Bridges and those guys are going to kind of stay in line. I still think my biggest concern with the Knicks is your 1 and your 5 are your soft points on defense, and your wings are going to have to do a lot of work. And I'm sure they're going to make some deadline moves to kind of help around the fringes, especially defensively. But I think I still would have Cleveland as my favorite. I just think that, and Knicks fans might hate me, I rate Mitchell higher than I rate Jalen Brunson, and I have them pretty close. And I was wrong about Jalen Brunson. I've said it on the show. I'm wrong. Like I'm here.
I was going to say it's par for the course if you're underrating Jalen Brunson.
I'm here to say I've been wrong. I really like Donovan Mitchell. I don't think it's crazy to say like, well, they're pretty close, but I have Mitchell a little higher.
Crazy? No, I just would have Brunson higher. I think he's
and that's fine.
And I think he's better.
If somebody tells me I have Brunson higher, I'm not offended. I know it's not popular to like Karl-Anthony Towns, but I mean, I said early in Karl-Anthony Towns' career, he's going to be a better offensive player than Dirk Nowitzki. I think that highly of him offensively. That's probably wrong. I think we've seen enough of Cat's career.
Yeah,
that's probably wrong.
Better shooter, but Dirk is a better bag.
Exactly. No, yeah, Dirk is Dirk, and I think this era has a bit of inflation going on statistically. But in terms of like the ways that Cat can score, I mean, you saw in that Indiana game, he saved New York season. Scored in every way possible. And that guy, I know that he gets memed a lot. I have a ton of respect. Anunoby, everybody knows Toronto's my second team. I'd go to war for that guy. I was ready to trade 3 first-round picks for him. And Bridges he's another dog. And if Bridges is the 4th or 5th best player, you're doing really good. So New York's gonna have some depth questions. I think like last year, I think
this year I think they fixed them. Like, well, okay.
That's why they got to show. You know what I mean? They got to show it. But they're co-favorites. I won't put Cleveland or New York ahead of each other. I go co-favorites.
I think that's fair. No, those are the teams. That's the one team I'm staring at.
It's hard to.
I talked to Justin earlier this week about the
Rowan.
Yeah, just like. Yeah, this is our conference. Like it better be one of us. And we even talked about the other teams we should be considering. And it's like we can consider other teams.
What would be your third team? If you had to consider a third team, who would it be?
So It's why I've been watching a lot of Atlanta and Orlando.
Oh my God.
I went into this season thinking Atlanta, and then I watched Atlanta Orlando last night and was like, this does not look like anything I should be worried about. I maintain that there's a Giannis thing that needs to be considered.
It's never count that motherfucker out, man.
But especially since it's the only series the Knicks or the Cavs would play in the playoffs where they don't have the best player in the series. And that has forever been the analysis. Like, okay, the team with the best player in the series should have a good chance to win it. LeBron literally made a finals in 2018, being the best player in every series he was in, even though his team, like from 2 through 8, was probably all leaning toward the other team. So I'm respectful of Giannis. They're already 2-0, the Bucks. They have a trade in them if they want to make it to potentially play for this season. I'm respectful of the Bucks. It should be the Knicks or the Cavs. I agree with you. We're the co-favorites.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the Bucks certainly will win their first round series. And I think that kind of pool of Magic, Pistons, Hawks is going to be interesting. I think the two best teams in there are probably Milwaukee in Orlando.
Detroit, I put, yeah. I have so many questions so far
pretty good.
Atlanta's defense is just terrifyingly bad to me so far.
I think Atlanta has a team that I think makes sense. I want to see it, and I have a lot of respect for Quinn Snyder. I think as everybody does in the league, I think he's probably the best coach in that like 6 through 1 seed between Detroit, Milwaukee, Orlando, Cleveland, and New York. I think Quinn Snyder's probably the best coach.
I think he's in the top tier. I
certainly don't think it's crazy to say that.
Yeah. I don't think it's crazy to say that. No.
Yeah, because then you have, really like the accomplished coaches are at the bottom. Mazzulla, Spoelstra, Nurse, Carlisle, right? Like those guys are not really playing for a lot. And those are the guys that have won a championship. I guess Mike Brown's won a championship.
As an assistant coach, though.
As an assistant coach,
yeah. But okay, real quick, because you're hinting at why I shouldn't be afraid of Milwaukee. I think Doc Rivers is at the very bottom of that list. And I think to the depth conversation I want the Knicks have from a depth, they just don't have moves to make at this point. They were like, Malcolm Brogdon, do you want to be our backup point guard? And
that was crazy.
He chose retire.
I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Get ready to learn Landry Shamet.
Well, Landry Shamet, Tyler Kolek, and this does go to the shift from Tibbs to Mike Brown. And like last year, if the Knicks on opening night announced that Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson were out, I'd be preparing myself for, all right, we're playing 7 guys because next man up to Tibbs is guys that are already up, just also stay up and play more. And they played 11 guys on opening night. I Trey Jemison III, respect to him for making the NBA, got 8 quality minutes in this first game. And you mentioned all the different starters, Cat, Brunson, Anunoby, and Bridges. I'm not sure if you remember when you were here last year, but I made you go to Cleaning the Glass and look up where Deuce McBride and all his lineups start. And like it's their 4 most used lineups are like faded orange or very blue. And then there's these 6 lineups that are bright orange, which for those who don't know Cleaning the Glass mean they're really good. And they all have Deuce McBride in them. And there's this lineup, and it's the only takeaway that I've had so far from the Mike Brown era that I'm actually think is rationally able to be gotten excited about, because I'm trying not to overreact to 2-0. But this lineup of Deuce McBride plus those 4 starters played 82 possessions last year. And through 2 games, it's been their most played lineup, and it started a game. Like, that just never would have happened under Tibbs. And it's the only thing that I'm actually taking stock in Mike Brown. There's going to be more creativity. Like you said, Tibbs isn't a bad coach. He's a very good coach.
He's a very good coach.
Leads to a lot of winning, but there are fewer ways to a win under a Tibbs team. With Mike Brown, there are several ways to win. We saw it literally last night against the Celtics. They won the first half by playing with some pace and some space and some shooting. And this lineup that we've all wanted in the second half, Josh Hart had like 13 rebounds, 6 offensive boards, and it was very Tibbs ball, like Jalen Brunson in isolation down the stretch, taking us home. So
Jalen's the one that I think is going to benefit the most, because I think like sometimes in that Indiana series, you kind of saw like if it wasn't for that cat explosion, a lot of their offense, like in leverage minutes, was like, hey, Brunson, can you do something?
Right.
And I think that's kind of like, again, I don't want your audience to hate me, and I don't want to disrespect him. He's not LeBron or Luka or, that.
But what are we talking about? He's not LeBron and Luka.
Yeah. He's not like one of the best players who's ever played. And I think when you're that size at guard, Bomani Jones said something a long time ago that I've never forgotten. And he's like, one of the reasons why I think Chris Paul has never won, you can't have a guy that small handle the ball all the time in late game situations. And he's like, that's just like inherently a problem. And I don't totally agree with him 100%, but I do think there's something when you have a Tibbs offense that's not doing your guard any favors. And it's like, well, Jalen, go do something. And he could do something most of the time, but like those last like really important leverage minutes. And he's obviously a great clutch player. I think you saw in the Indiana series, you can't, it's just hard to do that for 82 plus 16 wins in the playoffs at that size when you're beat up the way he is. I think that's not a slight on Jalen Brunson. I think that's just nature, bro. And I think that your coach's job is to be like, I'm going to help you get the best shot possible. Right. And I don't think that Tibbs was helping him. And I think Mike Brown is kind of the guy who he's probably 7% better than Tibbs, but that 7% is what gets you to the finals, right? Like those are the margins that you're playing. And if Brunson is 2 field goal makes better, that flips the game. You know what I mean?
2 field goal makes. I wouldn't even go to makes better. I think it's 2 field goal attempts easier.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that's what I think Mike Brown brings, because like Jalen's obviously like a really special offensive player who's very creative I don't view him as like this like leaper dunker, like high, like Westbrook athlete. I think he's athletic in his body control. I don't like to call like non-fast guys unathletic, because I think that like the body control, like we think gymnasts are athletic, for doing balance beam and stuff. Like he has insane body control, especially like the way that he can kind of change direction, like, I don't know. He's like pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah.
But you got to help him out. You know what I mean? You're not going to like split a pick and roll and then like in 2 steps, you're exploding at the rim. Like you're detonating. That's not who he is. And your coach needs to help you a little bit. So that's kind of like where I'm at with him.
It's funny that, and this leads into the last question. It's funny that you bring up the Indiana series, and like he didn't have a great series at all. Like I thought they kind of figured him out with the full court,
and they had the defenders they had wing and guard, like Nembhard and all those guys.
Well, so game 1 he got whatever he wanted on Nembhard, and then over the course of the series they really started to figure out, and this again speaks to the Tibbs of it all. Like you have very few ways to succeed under
help
Tibbs.
Your guy. Yeah.
And they've realized, okay, we know what they're going to do by game 6. There's no other ways to try and beat you. And it's why game 6 went the way it did. I don't think of any other game in that Indiana series but game 1. They had a 14-point lead with 2.5 minutes left. And then Nesmith hit every 3 possible. And then Halliburton hit the shot to tie it that almost won it and took a 16-foot bounce off the rim.
Insane.
It does lead like that game goes a different way. We're playing game 7 at Madison Square Garden, and then who knows what happens.
If that goes different. That doesn't go 7.
The indictment of Brunson or Tibbs just doesn't exist if game 1 happens differently. In like the Doctor Strange 1 is what I'm talking about. So I don't know if I can use the Indiana series as an indictment on anybody other than like the basketball gods deciding
that was a team of God. We've all accepted that.
I do agree
until they weren't.
I do agree with goodness, the way that their run ended was very much like their luck running out. I do agree with the overall premise, though, that Mike Brown's here to make things easier for him, easier for everybody, and create more avenues. That's really all I'm asking for, is more creativity. And that's why the lineup data that I'm referencing is already an earlier sign. Oh, you're trying things that we just did not try over the past 5 years, which I'm here for. That game 1 against Indiana falls under the category of that game. for Knicks fans. And it's one of those games like you did the choke sign. I just cannot look at anything from that game without being triggered as a basketball fan. And I wanted to know, and I've been asking everybody this, and it's going to be my final question to everybody on the show this year.
I love that.
What is that game for Miami Heat fans? I know they've won a lot of games over the past several years. I know the Derek White game probably is up there, but they won that series.
They won the series, yeah.
So what is that one game that invokes like pain or misery from Miami Heat fans?
It's generational, I think. I think there's a certain generation of Heat fans that'll say the John Stark moment.
Do you mean the Allen Houston moment?
I'm sorry, the Allen Houston moment. It's
okay.
We're recording this in the morning.
It's a moment that made me a Knicks fan, so
you know
I may or may not have wanted you to bring
wrong
that
90s
up.
Nick, the Allen Houston. Before my time, I'm born in 92, you know what I mean? So
right.
There's a certain generation of Heat fan that'll forever be the moment. I think for some people, I think when Dwayne got hurt in against the Pistons in the conference finals in 2005, I don't think that's it because they won the next year. And then there's obviously 2011 finals, and game 2 is really the one, right? The Heat are shadowboxing against Dallas. They're about to go up 2-0 and they blow the game. That's not it for me, although it's hard to find a more painful loss than that one because Miami certainly was better than Dallas, I think, that year. Dallas did win though. But I think it's going to be for me, and I think for a lot of fans, the Jimmy game 7 against Boston, where he misses the 3 that would have won the game. Because we felt they were better than Boston that year. The fan base felt they were better than Boston. They got unlucky in that series because Kyle Lowry got hurt against the Hawks in round 1. And that really kind of he was never that essentially ended his career in a lot of ways. I mean, he was never himself again after that. And again, in the finals run against Denver, where they lost against Denver, he was really huge, but not in the way, I mean, he won them a game at MSG, I was in the building for that. But he was never consistently Kyle Lowry after that hamstring injury. I think they rushed him back, but he gets hurt against the Hawks. And then Max Strus is playing through injury against the Celtics. Caleb Martin was playing kind of hurt. Jimmy Butler was playing hurt. All these guys were really injured in that series, but they still almost won off that shot. And I just do think that with the couple rest days they would have had, I think they could have given Golden State. I thought they were better than the Warriors, right? And I thought they matched up. I thought Boston had a matchup problem with Golden State that year, where Miami had a really kind of unique way that they could defend them. They had a lot. I mean, Bam that year defensively was a monster. Lowry, even though was not who he was offensively, is just such a good and smart defender with smart hands, and the way they were using him as a low man and the way that they were switching everything. If you're going to defend Steph Curry, that's the way to do it. And that team, obviously, that did not have Durant, right? It was an Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, Draymond situation there. Jordan Poole, obviously, on that team. But I felt good about that matchup. I just felt like they had to get through Boston, and they almost did. So that for me, and I think for a lot of Heat fans, because there's a moment, right? I think for Knicks fans, for the game has a moment that you'd be that snapshot moment. If something's off a millimeter, everything is different, right? And I think for Heat fans, it's the same. It's we've dissected that play to end him back to the point that there is no right answer. They just lost. And I still, to this day, I remember I was at a bar in San Francisco. I walked out the second that shot missed. It was brutal. I've never watched back the end of that game, after the celebration or anything. It's just rough. It's rough. So that for me, I think is it. But I think it's generational. I think it'll be Allen Houston for some. It'll be the 2011 finals for others. But I think for me, it'll probably always be that Jimmy miss in game 7 against Boston. That's going to be the game.
I think it meets all the qualifications, even though they beat the Celtics the following season. The fact that it happened at home.
The Denver series was a lost cause because Jimmy was hurt in that series, got hurt against the Knicks, and Denver was just a machine. I think it was pretty clear. We all knew. I think every Heat fan knew, okay, this is where it runs out. The other year, remember, they was a 1 seed in the East the year that they lost to Boston off that shot. That was the year. Because they went all in on an older point guard in Lowry. They had PJ Tucker. They went all in on old veterans. And that's why I think the organization is kind of thought of as a joke right now, when if they win that series, they're not thought of as a joke. And I actually thought they made all the right moves. I just thought they got unlucky. Everybody got hurt at the worst time. And I mean, Tyler even got hurt in that playoff series. And you may argue that helped them, kind of settle their offense playing Duncan Robinson more, whatever. But, it is what it is.
It's so funny that, because I think you're right that the way the reputation of the organization, the way people might view them, but then the following season they have that run as an 8th seed, and it doesn't erase anything from the year before.
That was fluky in that that season was weird because all regular season, excuse me, all their shooters shot really poorly. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, all those guys were like awful throughout the whole season. And we know those guys to be, at least in a Heat uniform, good shooters. And what happened was it's like all that saved up in the bank for the playoffs where those guys shot. They didn't shoot like an insane percentage, but they shot to their averages the previous year, which is funny because the playoffs before that, they shot great in the regular season and none of those guys can shoot in the playoffs. When it was the reverse, the next season, none of those guys could shoot in the regular season. And then they all shot really well in the playoffs, including Caleb Martin for having an all-time role player what the fuck series against Boston. But we all felt, I mean, Giannis got hurt, which allowed them to kind of steal a couple games. If Milwaukee wins game 5, I mean, Miami won game 5 in Milwaukee in overtime. I mean, that was a really close game. If Milwaukee wins that, I don't know if Miami wins that series. You know what I mean? Like, does Jimmy run out of gas? I don't know. And I think they benefited from the extra rest to go into New York, because they were a little bit of an older team. So like Kyle got some rest, and obviously he was huge game 1 down the stretch against you guys. So a lot broke their way until it didn't. Jimmy gets hurt in game 1 against New York. That's kind of it, right? Like he was just never. They almost lost to Boston because he just wasn't himself, for most of that series. And obviously against Denver, it kind of is what it is. But, I think for me, it'll be because if Jimmy wins that ring, everything's different, man. It's just different. It's just different if he wins a ring. And again, I'm not counting that they would have beat the Warriors. I'm sure a lot of people are like, gee, you're ridiculous. They would have not beaten them. I don't know.
That playoffs, he was very special. That was the first playoffs where playoff Jimmy was established for me.
And the team was just like, it made sense. Like Tucker, it was Bam's best year. Kyle, Kyle saved their butts in that game 6 against Boston. I mean, he had a huge game, where he looked like, okay, like, is he a little bit back to life now? Can you get some rest and go into Golden State where you've won before? I don't know, man. And also, I've talked about this with Sam Esfandiari a lot. We've never gotten the Culture Bowl. Warriors, Heat, that would have been kind of the 2 defining teams, along with Cleveland, of kind of this era of basketball with the Heatles, LeBron, and Cleveland, and then the Warriors. Like we never got Heat Warriors. And that's like kind of one of the big what ifs. I think also like the big 3 Heat ever got to play the Warriors. We were 1 year away from that. LeBron had stayed, but, pretty special, I think, to think that we almost got there against, with Jimmy kind of bridging eras and stuff. So that's going to be the one for me.
Well, I hope that wasn't too painful, a trip down memory lane, even though I was hoping we would talk a lot about Allen Houston personally, because that's my origin story.
It's not for me. I mean, what year was that? Was it 97?
That was 1999. It was the first round. It started the first team to be an 8th seed to go to the NBA Finals. Was a lockout shortened season, so some context is necessary.
I didn't start watching basketball till till Dwayne Wade was drafted. Because
no. Gee, I'm being a hater. Oh, no, I wanted you to talk about Allen Houston.
I just feel like,
I understand you. I didn't.
Different kind of sports fan here. Like, basketball is not something in Latin homes. Like my parents are both immigrants from Venezuela and Colombia and Italy. Like they don't watch fucking basketball over there. They watch soccer. Mm-hmm. So I found basketball on my own. Like as a lot of 2nd generation Americans, Hispanic Americans in Miami. So it's like that's kind of started in so that I've learned retroactively about kind of 90s Heat stuff and all the but I listen. I've done my end. I still hate the Knicks.
I know.
I've done my part.
Brother, I saw your tweets during the Indiana series.
You must have hated me, bro. I'm so sorry. I
hated everything.
It's all love, bro. I love
after
you.
game 1, because I can't stress this enough that it's so weird to go back and think about it because of the way you talk about their run, the way you talk about the Heat run in 2020 3, the year they made the finals as an 8 seed.
Yeah.
And it's like, like it was kind of fluky. Like you hated most of that season. You watched that team for most of the year.
Awful.
The way a lot of Knicks fans felt last year was like, can you just get swept by Boston already? And let's just get out of here. They beat the Celtics. And then going into that series, it's like they're favored. They're up 14 late. The vibes around the city were just immaculate.
You guys did name a bunch of streets after role players.
Brother, they were superheroes in this town.
You can't do that. You can't do that until you win a title.
That's a New York thing, though. Once you have something to celebrate, we really go over the top to celebrate it. That's just very much a New York thing. It's not even a bandwagon thing because there's very much a diehard element to it. But
yeah.
My goodness, were we ready to? We thought this was going to be a coronation, and all of the energy. They don't exist. A lot of the energy for this team that was coming from the fan base that was palpable in that building disappeared for the rest of the series after Halliburton hit that shot. Like that's how deflating it all was.
It felt like a trauma trigger for like.
I literally made a segment about it at the end of every pregame pod. It's such a trauma trigger that I can't watch the end of the game anymore. And
that team specifically too, like,
yeah, the Pacers. Exactly. Like, so again, my origin story, 99 is the first year I'm a Knicks fan. I have nothing about the Reggie Miller stuff in 1994 or 95, the Ewing finger roll, the Charles Smith, like trying to make a layup against Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, getting fouled 6 times, but not getting called. I don't have that trauma. I'm similar to you in the Allen Houston shot.
Yeah.
So it easily becomes the worst loss of my Knicks fandom, like last year. So it's so funny. I went on the Athletic NBA show right after that. And remember when Andrew Schleck texted me like, hey, do you want to be the guest after game 1? I was like, oh, sure. That's fun. I'll be a non-biased. I'll break down the game from an objective perspective.
You're crashing.
And I just, Knicks fans, anybody watching, go watch how shell-shocked I am when Sparahini is trying to get something out of me. I'm just like,
brother,
that's the worst loss I've ever experienced.
I did a show after the Derek White putback, and I remember.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest with you. It's the worst I've ever felt. It's the single worst I've ever felt after a sporting event.
Yeah,
because I thought it was over. I thought we were gonna thank God they won that, because if not, that would have been the one. If they didn't win that game and that series to go on to the finals, but bro, if we were to be the first team ever to blow a 3-0 lead against fucking Boston.
And again, it's the same thing in that you watch the team all year. Then suddenly you're up 3-0 about to go to the finals. And it's like, oh, like the vibes have returned. Nope. And then this gut-wrenching loss potentially ends your season.
Horrible.
It's almost like you couldn't even celebrate winning the next game.
We didn't. It was more
right. It was just like, oh, okay, we survived. Now let's go get our ass kicked by
the
Denver.
worst way to watch a sporting event.
Right. G, it is always good to see you. As always, the 45 minutes I had planned went right out the window because you and I get to talking, and it's good. I need you to do me a favor.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah,
I want to give a big shout out to your audience. I don't know, you guys, the Knicks Film School audience. Like, you guys are very funny on Twitter with me, and you guys get it. And I love the banter. I love when you guys shit talk. I have so much fun. You guys are really funny about it. I love the YouTube comments. You guys show me a lot of love. And I appreciate it. I love coming on because, you're a friend, and I love your audience. Like, your audience is like really cool. And I think that speaks to the culture that, Knicks Film School is bigger than just you. It's a huge network of people doing cool stuff. But like, I tune in sometimes when I want to learn about your team, and I love everybody that does stuff with you guys. I love your audience. And I think your audience is a great reflection of you, and you have a really cool audience. So shout out to your listeners and your viewers, because I fuck with y'all heavy, and all the stuff that you guys do on Knicks Film School. It's sports coverage has leveled up over the last 10 years. And I think like communities like yours are a big reason. I think go back to New York sports radio and what you guys are doing, and just the evolution of not just the callers are the fans. The fans are more educated because of people like you guys, right? So shout out to you guys. Shout out to your fans. Shout out to your listeners, because it's fun. I love it. I love New York City, one of the best cities in the world. And I look forward to being on more with you and bantering with your mouth-breathing fan base.
Yes, indeed. First of all, We love you too. You are very much a beloved guest of Knicks Film School when you come here. And speaking of our audience, what I wanted to get your help with, I need you to do me a favor before we get out of here.
Yes, sir.
Because today, when we're recording this, October 25th, is the birthday of two of my favorite people. The first one is Juan Soto of the New York Mets. That's right. He plays for the New York Mets. The other one's my dad, who is a big fan of yours as well. And when I told him,
Poppa Claudio, my goat.
Poppa Claudio is a huge fan of Giancarlo, and anytime you link up with me for the pregame pod. So if you could wish him a happy birthday, that'd be great.
Happy birthday, Poppa Claudio. I've heard so much about you. You're a great man who has raised another great man. So thank you for that. Somebody I like to call a friend and who's doing all these wonderful things I just said. So happy birthday to you. Enjoy today with your loved ones. Be loved, love others, and cheers.
So he raised a great man. I didn't know you knew my brother.
I didn't even know you had a brother.
Yeah, I'm here, brother. G, as always, thank you for joining me. Check out the Miami Heat beat. Whether you want to, I mean, it's a weird thing.
Hate watch us.
Like,
we
go hate watch them.
Losses. You want to laugh at us? Come in.
It's a good time. I'll say this. It's a very good time.
Crash out, and you can laugh at us, and we will revel in it.
I'll even go further. Go back and watch after the Mavericks got the one pick, the live stream that they did during the offseason. It's you want to talk about from a hate watch standpoint. It's just funny to watch Heat fans crash out the way that they did, but they do a great work over there.
Is a treasure trove of
Indeed. Go check them out over at the Miami Heat beat. G, as always, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you to everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Knicks Film School pregame show. If you're watching on YouTube, like this video. Remember to subscribe. If you're listening, 5-star rating and a review, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on all socials at Nick Film, SKOOL School. Putting up great content there. If you're looking for bonus content, Substack, check out Macri's newsletter, or on Patreon, whether it be Benji's grade book or DJ's film breakdown. Please check out all of our stuff. I'll be back on Tuesday to preview the Knicks matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. But until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Let's go Knicks, and I will speak with you soon. Peace.
Must be 21 or over? Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.